Hello, Bruins fans, and welcome to episode 72 of Bruins Beat, brought to you by CLNS Radio. I'm Mike with Joe and Jason, and we'll have Jimmy Murphy joining the show momentarily, but we will start the show off without him to start, and the Boston Bruins are down 2-1 against the Ottawa Senators after a heartbreaker the past 2 games in overtime, and even the first game came down to the wire when Brad Marchand scored. I mean, this series has been intense. It's been everything you wanted. It's been giving me a heart attack, but the intensity's there. The Bruins and the Ottawa Senators have become such rivals recently, but I mean, they've been on the short end of the stick in the 2 of the past 3 games because of penalties late in the game. And Riley Nash owned it, even though I don't agree with the penalty call yesterday. Chara, same thing in game 2, flipping the puck over the boards. I mean, you can't give a team like Ottawa power plays late in the game. You just can't do it, and that's why the Bruins are down 2-1 right now.
This is correct.
Absolutely, and I'm prepared whenever you guys are ready for me to call Jimmy.
Why not? Let's go.
Let's get Jimmy on. Let's get Jimmy on. Get some of his analysis on this series so far.
We'll give analysis on our big debate as well. So, Mike, what's your feelings? You think they're going to pull this out, this series, or what? Michael.
Joe.
Michael.
Hello.
Hey, Jimmy, how's it going?
Good. How's it going, guys?
Jimmy Murphy.
What's up, Jimmy? Thanks for joining us.
What's going on? How's everything?
Good. We're not as good as we could have been if the OTs went the other way, but...
That's still a young series.
It is still a young series, but Jimmy, let me ask you, obviously the Bruins have gotten the short end of the stick the past 2 games in overtime because of penalties. I know there's a lot of talk about the penalty call last night in overtime. I saw you had some interesting tweets about it. Just want to get your thoughts on the series so far and also on that penalty call last night.
Yeah, I'll start with the penalty call there. I mean, obviously it was a horrible call, and if you're going to call that, you got to call the other one the same way and even it up. And there's no arguing that. And does it play a role in the loss? Yes, but what I didn't like today, and that's sort of what I was tweeting about, is just the general feeling on a lot of the airwaves and on Twitter and Facebook of fans and media just simply looking at that and solely blaming that and saying if that doesn't happen, the Bruins don't lose a game. Well, first off, let's start off with if they decide to show up earlier than the second period, maybe they don't lose a game. Or let's talk about that specific play of the game-winning goal there where, there's a horrible line change there, kind of another brain fart by Chara. He takes forever getting off there. And then Dominic Moore goes down and decides to chase Erik Karlsson around, which is never going to be a fair race. And then, of course, Tommy Cross gets caught flat-footed there, and Ryan beats him and then beats Rask. And there's just a lot of little things like that, I think, throughout the game. And then, if we're going to look furthermore into the big picture of the series, the Bruins have beat themselves on many occasions, but let's not forget to and they've had some bad breaks with the refs, but let's not forget to give Ottawa some credit, too. I mean, Ottawa's coming through in the clutch, and Ottawa is, battled back and showed some resilience of their own. Have the Bruins been forced to show a little more because of all their injuries? Sure. And I think that is, if you want to make excuses, I think that's much more of a legit excuse than to blame the refs because it's just part of the game.
Well, we know that Erik Karlsson has just pretty much dominated the series single-handedly. I mean, that goal he set up with Hoffman, that bomb, I mean, and then, of course, just the breakdowns on the Bruins D. Could you explain to me what the rationale, Jimmy, was behind Playing Cross over Grzelcyk, who I believe played last year? I didn't get that at all. He looked lost out there.
Yeah, and what about DeBrus, too? I mean, why not call him up? I think there's a much more options out. There's a lot of options out there. The only reason I can see with Cross right now is that while he doesn't have too many NHL games under his belt, he does have a lot of pro experience. He's been around the organization for a while. He's a captain down in Providence. He's a leader on that team. he's very familiar with Bruce Cassidy. And being in a leadership position like he is in Providence, when he was in Providence with Cassidy, I think I don't know for a fact, but I'm guessing there must be a pretty good rapport that they built there. And I think Cassidy looked at it as like, you know what, this is a guy I can trust that's going to keep it simple. He's going to come up here and do his thing. He's going to do what we ask. He's not going to take too many risks, whereas maybe a younger player might do that. And maybe they feel they've just got so much youth already playing huge minutes, like with Charlie McAvoy, that they just wanted sort of an older, wiser type in there. But still, I mean, it is the playoffs. You want to get your best possible lineup out there. And I think the combination of skill and leadership, there had to be a better option than Cross.
And understanding that the Bruins defensive core is actually depleted at the moment, have you been impressed with the way the Bruins have fought back and played this series so far?
Yeah, no, that's another thing too. I mean, I think, maybe I came off as a bit too negative in my tweets there, but I think that they've been very resilient, and it's just proved to be too much. And that's no knock on the Bruins. I mean, they're human, and that's the way sports goes. Sometimes the injuries are going to just be insurmountable, and it seems like that's what's going on with the Bruins right now. I think there's been two major things in this series, and like I said, I'm not going to say the injuries are an excuse, but they're definitely playing a role in where the series is at. And I think the other thing is too that a lot of the big guys that the Bruins depend on, a lot of their go-to guys, aren't stepping up right now. It's sort of been more a story of we're seeing guys step up in the absence of these injuries. Like Kevin Miller has been unreal. I don't think he's getting enough credit. He's played unbelievable minutes, and he's really played sort of that Seidenberg or Johnny Boychuk type shutdown role, that Chara has to always play, but then they always had that sort of depth there with Boychuk and Seidenberg. I think Kevin Miller stepped in and played that role there. So I think there's been a lot of great stories there, but at the same time, the other big thing to me is what's going on with Brad Marchand. I mean, from his selfish, penalty he took at the end of the season in the last in missing the last two games and hurting their chances of getting home advantage in this series, to being basically, besides that game-winning goal in game one, I don't know about you guys, man. I haven't noticed him much at all. I've noticed him a couple times when he's taking a bad penalty. I've noticed him when he's whining, but I haven't noticed him for the right reasons. And, this is a guy that a lot of people now consider a superstar, and he's playing anything but a superstar right now. To me, he just looks ordinary.
Yeah, he has one goal in his, last 20-something playoff games. So. Yeah,
exactly.
You hit the nail on the head, I think. Go ahead, Jimmy, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, they need the Brad Marchand of 2011.
Sorry, here we go again.
Go ahead.
Oh,
you guys hear me?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what you said has been the series so far. The big guns for Ottawa are stepping up, like Erik Karlsson and Mike Hoffman and Bobby Ryan. All those players are stepping up. And the Bruins has Marchand. Pasternak hasn't been really that great besides the goal yesterday. Tuukka Rask has been okay, not as great as he was in Game 1. Mm-hmm. But I just want to ask you what your thoughts overall about Charlie McAvoy's game. Obviously, highly sought after pick by the Bruins. Everyone, that Game 1, he really impressed. But I just want to get your overall thoughts on Charlie McAvoy's game and how do you think he will be a mainstay on this Bruins D going forward?
Oh, yeah, for sure he's going to be. And I've been amazed at him. I mean, he has exceeded expectations. Now, I know that he was pretty hyped up coming in, and there are a lot of lofty expectations there. But, if you really watch the game, you step back, you got to calm yourself down a bit and say, all right, if this kind of just keep it simple out there and not make a lot of mistakes. And you know what? If we don't notice them, that's a good thing. Because whenever you don't notice a defenseman, that's usually a good thing. It means they're doing their job. But he's gone way above that. And the poise he shows out there when he's carrying the puck, the poise he shows on the power play, on the point, I'm just amazed. He's years beyond his age. And I think the future's very bright. The only thing I worry about for the poor kid is that with this amazing play in this series, how much higher can he go? And, is it going to be a letdown if, he comes back next season and his play kind of goes down to a normal 20-year-old's play? But I just hope that people don't get too carried away and they let him develop properly. But he's been everything as advertised so far.
He's no Doug.
I got a really good question, Jimmy, to lead exactly off of that, specifically with the young guys. With what the young guys on this defense, on this depleted defense in the playoffs are showing right now, is this promising for the Bruins going to next year and going for the future to build up a team and make it to the Cup again?
I think it's very promising. I think the key going forward now, if you're Don Sweeney and Cam Neely, but hopefully not too much of Cam Neely, and it's more Don Sweeney calling the shots, is that keep developing these guys, keep filtering them in, but they need to go out and get a proven NHL defenseman, like a Kevin Shattenkirk or, a Jacob Trouba, someone that's already got that experience under their belt but is still young.
Oh. Guys, you there?
Yeah, did we lose Jimmy?
Yeah, I think so.
Must have lost connection, but no.
We'll call back. Oh, you get him back. What?
But
no, because you gonna call him back, Jason?
No, I'm not gonna let him call back. He said he only had 10 minutes, so I think we already explored those 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, I think he would have told us though. I don't think he would have just.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that, but let's just talk about pretty much what he was saying too. Like, I've been really, really impressed with McAvoy. Obviously, I hope he doesn't regress like he just said, but also, and I think the best point that Jimmy brought up was the big guns for Ottawa are stepping up, and the big guns for the Bruins haven't, and that's been the key to the series. We've been talking about McAvoy. We've been talking about, Achari playing well and all these young players that haven't really had a lot of playoff experience playing well for this team. But the problem is their big guys haven't been there. That's been the...
Bergey's done nothing. I mean, Backus came to life a little bit last night. Krejci just came back and half decent. But to your point, you got Hoffman, Bobby Ryan, and you got Eriksson, coming to play. So, yeah, they're not stepping up. They need their big guys. Pasternak's finally scored, but he's made a lot of mistakes. So, yeah, do something. Yeah,
Erik Karlsson's been the best player in the series, hands down. And
let us know. Let me know when you want to get into our debate about him.
Yeah, we'll get into it soon. But he's been the best player in the series, hands down. And I think that's why the Bruins are down 2-1 is because simply Erik Karlsson
can't cover him.
No, the Bruins don't have an answer for him, and they don't have anyone as talented as him. And
that pass he made to
Hoffman. Hey guys, I'm calling Jimmy back. He did lose connection.
That Hoffman goal was ever where was the defense? How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. He was way too open.
Oh God! And then Karlsson set up the game winner, and now game 2. I mean, how wide open was he to make the pass? I mean, they're outclassed on that level. Yeah,
he has super skill, obviously, and it's showing in this series. And he's been there, and the Bruins' top guys haven't. And
he has great slashing skills.
Yeah.
And so does Phaneuf. All right, how does he not get a double minor or a major for slashing back? It's two-handed slash across the arm.
Hey guys.
Hey, welcome back, Jimmy.
Sorry about that. You want me to go where we left off?
Yeah, let's pick up where we left off because you were going with a really good point there.
Yeah. So basically, I think it's just going to be key for Don Sweeney right now to really go out and find a guy that come in and be that number one defenseman, alleviate some minutes off Char, filter him down the depth chart, and then allow all these young players to develop. Because it's pretty obvious, I think, right now. And look, this is not to take away from anything that Char did, because I think he had a surprisingly great year. And I thought he's been playing pretty well down the stretch and into the playoffs here. But, he's clearly worn out. And whether he wants to admit it or not, he's a very proud guy. Father Time's catching up, and there's not, that's just the way it goes. And it's no knock on him. He's had an awesome career, but they need somebody else to come in now and be that go-to guy on defense. And I don't think it can be Charlie McAvoy just yet. I think that would be rushing the kid a little too much. Can he come in and be in the top 4? For sure. Can he be in the top 2? For sure. But I don't think he is ready to just be the number one man just yet, and I think that's going to be a key in the offseason.
So,
what do you think of Brandon Carlo's play?
Well, I think he's been great. I think he's more, as opposed to McAvoy being this puck-moving, really offensive capable defenseman. I think Carlo's a very stay-at-home guy. I think he's going to do well. He's definitely going to end up being in the top 4. I think he's kind of exceeded expectations, just as McAvoy has right now. It's too bad that he's been out and not getting a lot of minutes, not being able to contribute in the playoffs. But I think overall it was a success for him this year, and he's only going to get better.
So, Jimmy, Tuukka Rask, as you know, we've talked about, you and I, has taken his beatings. It seems like no one gives him praise when he does well, but when he has a bad game, all the the underlings of the world come out of the woodwork and just lambaste him. So I don't think he's played that bad this series. I just think his defense has broke down a lot. I think maybe one or two he'd like to have back. What's your take on him this series? How do you think he's playing?
I think it's pretty much the same. I think overall he's been unreal. I think he's given his team a chance to win every game. Has he had some brain cramps? Yeah. But overall, like you said, he's been great. And I think he's doing his job out there. He can't control what he can't see. And I think that was the case on a couple goals that people questioned on him, saying, those long-range goals he should have. Well, I like to see them lace him up and go between the pipes and try and see over these huge forwards or over his own defensemen who are out of position screening him. I'd like to see those people try and do that because it's not as easy. It's not as easy as it is to say it. So I think that, people need to let up. And that's sort of just something I think that, where some of my frustration comes around Boston lately is, over the last few years, and I get it, when you don't make the playoffs for 2 years, there's going to be plenty of frustration. People are going to want somebody to blame. But it's like, okay, Claude's gone now. They finally got rid of Claude, so let's pick a new scapegoat. Okay, it's Tuukka Rask. Tuukka Rask is really playing unreal right now. Let's pick a new scapegoat. Okay, it's the referee.
Oh, true.
I think people just need to step back a bit and say, you know what? No, it's a collective effort out there. Watch
Jimmy,
the game.
We're spoiled in the city. We're spoiled in the city after the last 15 to 17 years. It's just, I think we're about the same age. You remember, prior to 2000, it was just the Celtics and it was nothing else. So
exactly.
I mean, it's, this new generation, my co-host included, don't know how good they have it.
They don't. And the other thing is too, people got to remember. You talk about how it's different now. Another thing that's different now, and has been great for the Bruins, is that they've had sort of some stability behind the bench or between the pipes. I mean, you go back to when we were growing up, it was like a rotating door behind the bench.
Locker.
And then it was in net. It was a goalie cemetery. They talk about Philly being a goalie cemetery. This place was a goalie cemetery too. This is where goalies came to go out to pasture and get killed.
John Casey. Yep.
Yeah.
That's good.
Jim Carrey. You name it. Keep going. I mean, it's. So I think people need to appreciate the fact that they've had a guy like Tuukka Rask who's been so consistent.
God bless. Amen.
And then it's like replacing with who? They don't have anyone else. We saw how
Malcolm
the backup
Subban
situation went when he got injured.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's asinine.
Who didn't win a game until like April?
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a
I'm
sudden,
exaggerating,
let's ride
but
him into the playoffs. Let's ride Hudobin into the playoffs.
God.
What are you smoking out there? Like, is the medicinal marijuana that good here?
They're not sharing.
They're not sharing. In Denver, because it sounds like they're smoking it here.
It's really unbelievable. I mean, I remember earlier this year when Carlo wasn't playing well, people like trade Carlo, get rid of him. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's 19 years old.
Well, guys, I will say for that, I would have done that deal.
Okay.
I think that Carlo. Well, I think going forward with all the depth they are going to have with young, good defensemen coming through the pipeline, they need another center. And, an elephant in the room right now, not only just with his contract, but with his play right now, is David Krejci. I mean, he's lost. I don't know what's happened to him.
I know.
And, to go out and I think that would be a pretty even trade for both teams. It would address both needs. I think that the Bruins could definitely benefit off of Matt Duchene or Landeskog. And if Carlo's the price, that's the price. You got to give to get. I don't think that people are like, they want to get rid of him and just throw him away. But if something like that comes along, you have to really examine it. And I think that's why Don Sweeney did just that. And he'll probably revisit it at the draft.
Speaking of loss, how about Ryan Spooner?
Oh, God.
But guys, it was Claude Julien's fault. Remember, he didn't like me. The coach doesn't like me. Oh, where? Are you
No
kidding?
mess.
Like, what was he thinking saying that? And because once he says that, he puts a bullseye on his back, and I'm really disappointed in a lot of people
Frankie Vetrano.
in the media here that don't call out Spooner and go back to that and say, I would sit right to him if I was covering the team on a daily basis. If I was in the locker room, I would go right up to him and be like, do you want to take that on that now? Because obviously it wasn't Claude Julien's fault. Obviously, you just can't play tough hockey. You're not a tough hockey player, and you don't go to the dirty areas. You don't do what's necessary to be a center in this league, and that's why you keep getting moved to the wing. That's why your minutes keep going down, and Bruce Cassidy's doing the same exact thing that Claude Julien did with Ryan Spooner, and nobody's calling him out. So, I think Ryan Spooner needs to really look himself in the mirror, and I think the Bruins really need to examine what his future is here, because I just don't like that type of attitude around my young players.
Well, you got to think about, remember Frankie Vetrano said something too, and he's barely been up here, so he has no grounds at all to say anything.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I don't know. That's sort of that mentality and that attitude. You hope that that's not something that's prevalent amongst the young core and team right now. I don't think it is, but you don't want it to spread, and I think that's something they need to really look at. You want to make sure that you have a lot of good skill, and you want to make sure that they're able to play, but you also want to make sure that you've got the right mix of people and attitude in that dressing room, and that's what wins cups. I mean, let's face it, guys. At this time of year, you need that right mesh. You need that good attitude. You don't need people pointing fingers all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Jimmy, I know you're tight on time, so I just want to ask you quickly about some of the other series going around the NHL. Obviously, I think the biggest surprise right now is the Chicago Blackhawks being down 3-0 to Nashville and only having 2 goals scored in that series. And I'm just baffled about how Nashville has been able to limit the Blackhawks.
Yeah, it's been unreal. And I mean, look, we've seen Peter Laviolette work some playoff magic in the past, as Bruins fans well know. But and obviously what he did in Carolina. But I didn't see this coming at all. I mean, Nashville was a weird team this year. On paper, they actually, I felt like they could go really far, and I don't even remember. Somebody had tweeted to me today that I had predicted them to win the Cup, and I think I was just doing that to tick off Montreal people. But, it was more, I did see a lot of potential there. I saw Forsberg ready to take that next step to being the superstar he is now. They have a lot of good young prospects there. If on paper, I thought they had arguably the best defense core in the NHL. I mean, you could say that about Minnesota as well. But you look at, and that's another surprise right there, but you look at their defense, and now I think that's all coming to fruition. I think they had some injuries. It took them a while to adapt to PK being there. And now they're all sort of meshed together, and it's coming together at the best time possible, and that's the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then the other thing is Pekka Rinne, who I think, no one can argue has been wildly inconsistent the past couple of years. We know he's got skill. We know he's got the goods to do it, but he hasn't been the Pekka Rinne we saw, say, in 2012. And, there was even talk of the other kid there, I forget his name, Soros, of him maybe taking over, and would the Preds look to maybe move Rennie into some? I don't think that's going to happen now, because he's been awesome in this series, and it's a great story there. And for anyone that's been to Nashville, that place rocks. It's a cool city, and for them to get some another playoff run would be great for them and the league.
How about Toronto?
Wow. I mean, look, I had a feeling this series would go longer than other people thought. But I didn't see it going the way it's going right now. I mean, it's unreal. And, I've heard Pierre Maguire say it, or Pierre LeBrun or Darren Dreger, and they all say, look, these guys are out there. They're playing with house money, and there's no pressure on it. And they're absolutely right. And it's almost like they got the complete antithesis, the complete opposite of that, facing the Capitals, because the Capitals are just the complete opposite of that. They have all the expectations in the world on them. I mean, this is supposed to be it for them. This is do or die for that Caps team right now. They're going to blow that thing up if they choke here. And, so for them to come in against a young, loose team like this, I thought was very dangerous. It's going to be a huge test. And they always say the first round is the toughest test. And they're proving that right now. And I mean, guys, wouldn't it be crazy if, we're talking a week or two from now and both the number one seeds are out? I mean, both 8 seeds won. I can't remember that ever happening, not just in hockey, but in pro sports. I've never seen that happen in my lifetime.
I mean, Ovechkin, I think, is made it by the first round once or twice in his career.
Yeah.
So, they're a bunch of choking dogs anyway. So I call this like the choking dog bowl because the Leafs choke too. So, but anyway, I digress.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know about that new drink they serve, right, around NHL buildings?
No.
Yeah, it's called the Ovechkin, and it's a White Russian without a cup.
Jimmy will be here all night. Tried the veal and tip your waiters a week. Hey, Jimmy, do you have quick 2 more minutes or?
Yeah, we can do a little more. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're having a debate here. You probably saw the idiotic fan and the Erik Karlsson incident. I'm in the camp thinking I do not condone that idiot for being an idiot, but I also don't condone what Karlsson swinging his stick around the stands. Jason and Mike feel the other way, think that kid deserves everything he gets. So what's your take on that whole thing? Do you think Karlsson should have kind of like took the high road and been a professional, or that kid should have took his lumps?
No, I think the kid's got to take his lumps, and I would have done the same thing as Karlsson. I really would. I mean, guys, these guys are human. They're, we got to remember that. Just because they're athletes doesn't mean they're not immune to emotions or being offended or startled. They don't know what's going on there. They're walking off. They're getting bombarded. I don't know if you saw it too. There were
trash, yeah.
Over, and I couldn't see the number, but he did nail one of the players with a beer. So
he did. Okay.
Hey, I grew up in a day when they were doing that to Kirsten Island all the time. And he ended up, or Milbury, and come on. I mean, it's fair game. Once you start doing that, it's fair game, guys. I mean, and it's dangerous too. I mean, what if one of these gets hurt? Don't initiate that.
Well, no. Like I said, I am not condoning what that kid did. He's a complete tool bag.
Yeah. I be thicker skin and walk away and be more professional. I get it, but you get caught up in the heat of the moment there, and especially in the playoffs, it's so emotional, and then you're getting bombarded. You're under siege from these fans, basically. I mean,
we saw it in Montreal a couple years ago.
Yeah, exactly. But as long as we don't have to deal with any racial stuff again, because I hated when that happened with Sudan in 2004, because it stereotypes our city, and it's not fair. And for anyone that's probably age 40 or over, we know that this city has gone leaps and bounds from what it used to be when it comes to racism. And I'll never forget that, covering that and being right there when Subban, and this is where I gain a lot of respect for Subban. Was when he went out and said, "Don't blame the city of Boston. Blame that idiot. That's it." So,
right.
And so I hope, it's obviously on a lesser scale, but I hope the people around the league and the people around the sports world aren't going to start going off on Boston saying we're animals or what, and we have no. Just look at it. Isolate that incident. Yeah, every city's got idiots.
Yeah. Definitely.
So,
But all right, Jimmy, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Jimmy,
hey, anytime.
Great meeting you.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Enjoy the good meeting you.
All right, man. Be good. All right. Well, even though Jimmy.
All right, so Joe, you
really
want to go at it now, Joe, or what?
Here, guys. Jimmy Murphy, who's extremely cool, as we met at Blogapalooza. I still don't think, God forbid, if that stick hit someone in the face, beside that tool bag, or broke the kid's hand, he's going to sue. It was just, you got to blame security too. I think security took way too long to get over there. A lot of elements, though. I just don't think you should go in there with sticks. I'd rather have him gone in the stands and try to maybe fight the kid than hit him with a stick. You know what I mean? The stick thing is not good. You can see what happens to sticks. You saw, Sidney Crosby basically broke a dude's finger off with it. It could cause so much damage, and to innocent people too. Good. So it was just completely reckless, I feel, on Karlsson's part to do that. I get emotion, but you can't go with the stick. You can't.
Well, I think it's the fans' fault for being an idiot.
Yeah, I agree. I said that before. I don't condone that tool bag for being a tool bag, but you got to look at the other side of the ledger too. Karlsson. So, Mike, this is the thing. This is what I said. I go. So you talk crap to me in my office. you try to steal my swing line stapler, and I hit you over the head with my laptop. Do I have a right to do that, really? Hit you over the head with a laptop? I don't think so.
Yes, you do.
I just think I just think you're looking at it all wrong. You're like, oh, well, he should be suspended or fined for something he did to a fan, but I equate it to someone breaking into your house. Yeah, like that's like I know it wasn't Carlson's stick, but it's his teammate's property. It's his team's property, and the guy reached over. And if someone breaks into your house, are you just gonna sit there and say, "Go ahead, take what you want," or are you gonna defend yourself? You're gonna defend yourself, and I think that's what Carlson was doing.
Grand Theft Auto, right there. Grand Theft Coho. I just don't see this kid really wrestling that stick away like the way he did. Please, I mean, I don't know. The cops should have got over there quicker to break that crap up anyway, and that probably would have stopped the whole thing. So that's TD Garden's fault too. I just don't think you can't just. Let's flip the script. If this was a Bruins player up in Ottawa, this Bruins player would have been arrested. You know this for a fact. It would have been Montreal all over again. You know that for a fact. And I do not. If a Bruins player did this, I call them out too. This is garbage. You just can't do that stuff. This isn't the 70s and 80s, and people going on the stands beating the hell out of each other. You can't do it anymore. So you can't do that with a stick. If that girl who's sitting right in front of that kid with her boyfriend almost got hit over the head with that, now what would happen then?
She needs to turn around, tell that kid to sit down.
What's that?
She needs to turn around, tell that kid to sit down, and stop it.
Oh,
it's on her.
How many women are going to do that, dude?
None.
Yeah, unless they're with you, stud. But that's the thing. It could have went really bad. That's the thing too. You guys have to look at it from that angle. It could have went bad. I'm talking about the people around him too. It broke the kid's hand. Do you think like grabbing the guy's stick or breaking the kid's hand? What's worse? You know, that's just my opinion. You know, but anyway, I digress. I ain't getting a lot of hits from that story.
I just don't think it was as egregious as you think it is. And I like if he did it to like break Bergeron or someone after the game, I'd be like, okay, that's a cheap shot. But like, it wasn't anyone that had anything to do with the play on the ice. So I mean, I just don't see why Carlson.
Well, I mean, we're not in Rome. This isn't like gladiators. You know what I mean? People are in the stands. They're human beings too. They get emotional. What they do is wrong. You can yell, scream, and do whatever you want, but you can't throw stuff on the ice. That was stupid. I mean,
seriously, we got to stop. Bruins fans got to stop doing that.
Well, dude, they did
throwing stuff on the ice.
It's not just Bruins fans. Montreal fans did that in 2014. Do you remember that?
I'm not just blaming Bruins fans. I'm just saying in general, like I'm just speaking more to Bruins fans because I live in Boston. Whatever. Just stop throwing crap on the ice. If you don't agree with the call, you don't agree with the call. You don't like the outcome of the game. You don't like the outcome of the game. Don't throw crap on the ice and throw water bottles and throw beer cans and trash on the ice. You just make yourself look like tools.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just like Jimmy said, now they're going to make Boston fans are the most horrific fans on the earth, even though pretty much any city that gives a crap about their town is going to have complete yahoos. You know, so, I mean, we've seen it before. We saw the Toronto Stronger stuff in 2013 with Toronto, which was horrible, which I think was deplorable. You saw Chicago Stronger, all that stuff deplorable, awful after, you know, the things that were said. Toronto fans are some of the worst fans I've ever seen on Twitter and so forth. Like after they beat us in the regular season game, someone was, yet again, can't blame the whole fan base, but there's elements. They're tweeting about they're happy that the marathon bombings happened and all this stuff. So there are some really scumbag people on the earth, and they happen to be hockey fans. So
I totally agree. But anyways, let's get back to some of the stuff.
Yeah, you guys want to hear something funny? Sure. I predicted Nashville over Chicago, so if Nashville pulls us off, I called it.
Yeah, you also called a sweep too, right?
No. I did not.
Smoke too. But if there's a team that can come back from 3-0, it's the Blackhawks, and they've done it. They've been down 3-1. They've come back. So they're not out yet. I think Corey Crawford, I don't know how you guys feel. I think he sucks as a goalie. I think when they played the Bruins in the 13 Cup, I thought his glove hand was the slowest thing ever. I think
people seem to forget that he was like he was pulled in the first round of that playoff run.
Oh, was he?
Or was it whatever playoff run it was? He was like pulled for like a decent amount of games in the first series, if you guys remember.
The first cup they won, Niemi was Antti Niemi was the goalie, but after that, the last two were him for sure. Yeah. But I mean, Montreal's that game the other night we've got Lundqvist and Carey Price. Lundqvist made 54 saves and lost. That was amazing. That was a hell of a series.
Yeah, that's been a goaltender's battle in that series. Obviously, Lundqvist and Price have both been showing up, and that's been spectacular to watch.
But can we agree this Bruins-Ottawa series would be different?
I'm pretty surprised about, obviously, Nashville, as we talked to him with Jimmy. I'm also pretty surprised that the St. Louis Blues are up 3 games.
Minnesota, I never think is really a good team. I don't know why. I just feel they never, with Suter and Zach Friese, they've never really.
And their coach sucks. He always chokes. He used to coach Capitals. Remember that? Yeah.
Oh, he blows. He's like the worst pressure guy because he was in Washington and lost all those years too.
And then he went to the Ducks, and they couldn't get over the hump either.
Oh, speaking of the Ducks, it just reminded me of Calgary. What did you think of the commentary about Dougie Hamilton?
I thought that was hilarious, and I've been saying that about Dougie Hamilton for ever since we started this show. I don't think Dougie Hamilton is that good of a defenseman. No. Everyone's always like, "Oh, Dougie Hamilton, what would the Bruins pick if they had him?" No, that was the only Calgary media people bashing Dougie Hamilton. Obviously, they don't like him up there either.
Great trade. That was a great trade for the Bruins. He sucked. He didn't want to be here. I never thought he was that good anyway. Defensively, I didn't think he was that good at all. I thought he was probably above average offensively, but I didn't think he was I think McAvoy's going to bring you more.
Yeah, I just thought for a top 10 pick, you would have expected a little bit more out of Hamilton. So, like you said, I wasn't even that mad they traded him, to be honest.
No,
but the Ducks look pretty damn good.
Yeah, the Ducks look good. I mean, then you got Edmonton. I think McDavid. Jesus, how good is that kid? My God, he's just so fun to watch.
Speaking of that, the Sharks have been shut out the past 2 games. They haven't even scored a goal the past 2 games.
Martin Jones. What happened to the god himself, Martin Jones? What's he doing?
Let's not get into that one today.
Oh, hey man, these are the people in the chat room. Mr. Ryan, one of the guys in here, yet again, the Tuca haters. The Martin Jones get on my jock fan club. It's just amazing.
But anyways, I do want to touch on the Leafs quickly, as Jimmy pointed out. He thought the series was going to go longer than anyone else, like most people thought. I mean, this Leafs team is seriously talented. They're going to be a force sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean the young, like I said, house money. They were talking about that Kessel trade that they got Anderson, and they got another player from that trade, Nylander, from that Penguins trade. So I mean that absolutely helped them out a great deal. Well, the Babcock, hello. I mean, the guy's a Hall of Famer. He's phenomenal. I wanted him when they were talking about getting rid of Claude before he left Detroit. I wanted Babcock. I think the guy's awesome. I mean, Team Canada, look what he's done. I mean, his track record speaks for himself. So, I mean, it's kind of good that hockey's getting relevant up in Toronto again because it's like the New York Yankees of hockey, right? They need to really have that.
I also think they got a great draw. Like, playing Washington, who's notoriously choking, they have a ton of pressure on them. And like you said, they're playing with, the Leafs are playing with house money. They don't know any better. They're like 19-year-old kids just going to have fun playing hockey, showing up to the rink.
Oh, they don't care. But dude, Alex, he made Ovechkin. That was a great joke, by the way. By Jimmy. Ovechkin, this dude is just, his teams are just the biggest choking dogs. I mean, let me look again. I got to look at his playoff record again. Hold on. He has only made it out of the first round 1 time since 2007. That is amazing.
He hasn't even been to the conference finals once in his career.
No, that time that the Caps made it, he wasn't even on the team. I think that was the late 90s against Detroit. Yeah, that is just amazing. That just tells you how light years like Sidney Crosby is from him, because Sidney Crosby makes the rest of his team better around him, even though I hate Sidney Crosby. But Ovechkin, he was always a selfish. Remember the year he was going to lead the league in goals and also plus minus in the
he was like a minus 30 and had like 50-something goals.
I always hate him. I love when the Team USA beat Russia a couple years ago in that shootout because his face. Oh, God, I love it. I hate Ovechkin. He's the cheapest. Oh, he's garbage. I just hate that guy. I see them choking. They're gonna
lose. He injured Carlo.
Yep, he injured Carlo. Yep, even though he held up, everybody said. But let's go back on the. Let's just talk about the Bobby Ryan, Riley Nash call. Granted, did it cost them the game? No. Was it a factor they lost? Absolutely. How do you let the whole let that dude punch Shallow in the face a couple times, punch Marchand in the face, you call nothing, but then Riley Nash basically gets blown up by it was a borderline elbow to the head by Bobby Ryan, and then he just kind of slapped him in the face with his glove, and then Bobby Ryan basically looked like he got shot with a rifle. So he should have like almost 4 minutes for embellishment and an elbow. So
yeah, I mean, I see exactly what you're saying. It's not like the ref didn't put the puck into the net himself and cost the Bruins the game. Yep. But you're giving Ottawa momentum in overtime when the Bruins, I thought, were controlling the momentum of the game. Ottawa was for the third period. The Bruins, I thought, owned, and then the
winner.
Yeah. With the Bruins' depleted defense, they don't really have good penalty killers right now. Like, Adam McQuaid's out. He usually penalty kills. I mean, Carlo's out. He usually penalty kills. Torrey Krug sometimes penalty kills when, like, towards the end of a shift. Like, that would have been Torrey Krug out there instead of Tommy Cross. Or it would have been Adam McQuaid instead of Joe Morrow. It's like, you look at this and it's like...
Just watching him out there was like, oh my God, what are we doing here? I don't know why they didn't start that Grzelcyk. Didn't he play a few games last year? I'm pretty sure he played
this year.
Oh, he did play a few.
He played a few games this year.
Just that was worse than the second period in game one. That was worse.
Yeah, let me ask you guys a question.
Go ahead.
Because I debated this with Mark Allred earlier today. I want to hear your opinion on it. How much of the blame do you place on that last goal on Tommy Cross?
Oh, you cut out one more time?
How much of the blame do you place on that last goal on Tommy Cross?
On Tommy Cross? A big part. You look like... I'm pretty sure it was a play when you see him like just on his knee, crumbled halfway over going, I can't believe that.
His positioning on that play was brutal.
Yeah, he's not...
He's not the entire reason for the entire Bruins loss, correct?
No, hell no. Neither is Rask, neither the refs. It's a combination of everything. That first period, you blame everyone. And then the second period, you give them credit for coming back. The third period, they should have won that game. Krejci had a shot. That opened net. Oh, my God, how did he miss that? And then, Pasternak a couple of times, too. It was a team loss. The game, the second game, Chara, yeah, he's gassed and all that stuff. He made a bad play. I didn't like how everybody skewered him, blame the loss on him. None of these games, you can't blame any of these on one guy. It's a collective. Both those games is a collective. Now, think about it this way. They should have never won game one. So they stole one. They split up there. That was good. And they kind of coughed up a fur ball. If they lose tomorrow, they're done, as far as I'm concerned. What do you think?
I don't think it's all solely on Tommy Cross either. But, I mean, he didn't have really good positioning there on the goal. And he let Bobby Ryan go right by him. And he didn't even try and defend him. It was just an overall... I think a piss-poor effort on the defensive end. But I agree with Joe. It's been a team effort. Like, you can look at different stretches of every game and say why the Bruins weren't good. Like, in game one, the Bruins didn't get a shot in the whole second period. Yes, they ended up winning the game, but they didn't even have a shot. And then game two, you look at it, the Bruins are 3-1 going into the third period, and they let their foot off the gas and gagged away a lead in the third period. And then you look at yesterday's game, the first period, they got down 3-0 early, and the first period, the Bruins didn't show up to play. So you can look at three separate issues and not blame one certain player for the reason why this series is where it is.
You know what? And another thing too, for me, I'm going to be a little disappointed they don't win the series because they can win the series. If they got the Capitals, they're just not a good matchup with them because they have no team speed really. I'd be kind of like, I'm happy they're here. I think they should win a round. They should win this round. I mean, they've been playing them. They're decimated with injuries, and they've been playing this team pretty even. So. If they come out and put out a clunker tomorrow, this is going to be, smell of the old Claude days, and that's not going to sit well with me. What do you guys think?
I'm waiting on Mike here.
I
think you guys.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were waiting on me. I think what you said earlier too, if the Bruins lose tomorrow, it's going to be very, very tough for them to win this series, just for the whole factor that Ottawa has home ice, because they're going to have two more cracks at home. I think tomorrow the Bruins should be playing a must-win game. They should throw everything they have to try and win tomorrow's game.
Yep.
And do whatever it takes to even up the series. It seems like they're going to have reinforcements back with Colin Miller, and Carlos seems to be out still, but Colin Miller's hopefully going to be back. Because they need to get, like you said, Jimmy Hayes. Come on, Joe.
I had to do it. I was making fun of that clown.
I'm very, very unhappy with David Krejci.
Oh,
it's about time.
You're pinky.
I'm very, very unhappy. But just
oh my god!
The reason I'm pissed off is because he played all 82 games and he bagged out the first 2 playoff games. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't do that. You can't play all 82 games and all of a sudden the playoffs start and just be like, oh, I can't go. I'm sorry, you can't do that, and you're leaving your team in a bad spot. As Jimmy Murphy said earlier, the Bruins don't have good centers. They have 0 good centers besides obviously besides Bergeron. I mean, then you look Riley Nash and Dominic Moore. I think have played really, really well, but they're fourth line people. They're fourth line guys. They shouldn't be relied upon to be
guys. That's scary.
Yeah, they shouldn't be relied upon to be your second and third best forwards in the series, which they have been.
Mike, you weren't on the show last week, but we were talking about Backes. I mean, thank God for that goal last night because his contract's looking bad.
I thought when the Bruins first signed him, I would say I was in between. I was like scratching my head, but at the same time, I was like, he could be good to help him get into the playoffs because the last 2 years they choked. He's a good leadership guy, but I also said his contract's a little bit too much though. Like he's never really been a prolific scorer or anything like that. And then the way that NHL is trending, his style of play isn't where it's going. You look at the Leafs, right? They have a bunch of guys that can skate up and down the ice, and you look at even it's just like Pittsburgh goes up and down the ice. It's just I don't think Backes is that player that you can look at.
The one thing I do give Backes credit is that he's one of the only guys on this team that stands in front of the net. It just amazes me that the Bruins set up, they're nowhere near the net. Like they are nowhere in front of the net. They're in the top of the slot, but there's no one in there mucking it up like when they used to have Chara down there on the power play. At least Backes plays in front of the net and causes a screen or whatever. Like they don't do any of that. It's maddening. It pisses me off so much that they can't. Like the Senators, they were always buzzing in front of the net and causing havoc, and the Bruins just don't know how to do it. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
definitely frustrating.
This is mostly just a Bruins team that's injured that is struggling to get to full health, because I think this would be a totally different series if this team was at full health.
I'm not blaming injuries. I'm not blaming injuries. I'm not going there.
No. I mean, no, you can't. It's not an excuse, but it is a factor. Okay, it is a factor. They're playing with HL defensemen.
They're playing with defensemen who shouldn't even be in the NHL.
Well, Charlie McAvoy, if he has not been playing like he's playing above his head, and he's doing pretty freaking well. I mean, he's impressive as hell to me.
But the Bruins did the same thing a few years ago when they went on that run against Chicago. Torrey Krug stepped in when Steinberg got hurt, and they had Matt Brakowski playing. They had Dougie Hamilton playing. This happened before. I'm not blaming the injuries. I'm not. And look, I get it. Obviously, it plays a factor, but it's not like as you said, Joe. They've been in every game, and you've looked at every game and said, okay, they had a chance to win, but they just didn't get it done.
I got a quick question because I know you guys know the younger guys better than me. So I know JFK played one game. You don't think he's like an upgrade over Schaller or whatever the hell the other kid, not Canali, I don't know his name.
Corrali.
Don't you think it would be worth to have him up or no?
The one thing that pisses me off is that when they had Peter Cehlarik and he was playing with Pastrnak and Krejci, they looked pretty damn good as a line. And then he had one bad game where he had a turnover and then he got sent down, and you haven't seen him since.
What about JFK?
I don't know why they just. I don't think he's ready, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't think he's ready for the moment.
I didn't watch that Washington game too much. Did he look that bad? Because people say he looked lost, JFK, in that one.
Yeah, I don't think he's fit to be in the NHL yet, and I think the NHL playoffs would overwhelm him. Even though the Bruins have in this series a bunch of players with their first playoff experience, I think just to throw a rookie in there for a second NHL game would be too much for him to handle.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking having Morrow and Lyles in there is too much for them to handle, too.
John Michael Lyles sucks.
Oh, he's so bad. Thank God we gave up. How many picks for him, too?
2, a third and a fifth for John Michael Lyles.
How scary is that, Morrow?
What do we do?
And Lyles, had played a combined, 4 games between them prior to the playoffs in, 3 months. Hey, you know what? Go ahead.
And you can also look at who they gave up for both of those. They gave up a third and a fifth for. They gave up a third and a fifth for Lyles, and they also Joe Morrow was part of the Sagan trade.
He's the only guy left from the Sagan trade. Granted, let's just talk about Sagan for a minute. How many times has he made the playoffs since he's been with the Stars? Once. Twice, maybe.
Once.
Yep. So they're not. that trade. I'm not saying the Bruins won that trade because they didn't, but it's just they didn't really help either team. To be honest with you, end of the day.
Well, think about it this way: how much better would the Bruins be if they had Sagan, Marchand, and Bergeron as their first line?
Oh God, Jesus! I don't know this. Then you could have Pasternak with Krejci, and oh my God, that would. Anyway, no, if we had Joe Thornton still, and we had Bobby, and we didn't trade Bobby Orr, it would have been a whole different world. But
I do like the direction this team is going, and with the young players, and I am happy that the Bruins we are actually discussing playoff hockey, because imagine if the Bruins were in the playoffs, what the hell would we be talking about?
We knew. I mean, honestly, back in February before Claude was fired, who thought they were gonna have a shot? Not me. I didn't think they'd have a shot. They played 600 hockey, 650 hockey the way down the stretch.
And the Garden was actually electric last night. Like, that was a great atmosphere for the crowd was great. The Boston missed playoff hockey. You can just tell it was overdue.
I do. I'm going out now with my friends during the week. It's like amazing.
Yeah.
What happens when you're old and married.
But I will say, the one thing I don't miss about playoff hockey is the heart attack it gives you during the game.
Oh, you know what? Overtime, they might as well just cut your arm open and just pour like fire ants. There's nothing enjoyable about it. Now, what's funny is after I have I was sick with cancer and all that. My friends been like, you've been very, very laid back and more optimistic, and not like when the Bruins lost the 2 games. Like, granted, one time my son was in the room, so I couldn't really swear. So I can't even say crap or poop in front of my son, so I have to say, like, rotten tomatoes or something stupid. I didn't even get that mad. When they lost last night, I just shut the TV up. Didn't get mad, just shut it off. Because you know why? I haven't had in so long, I can't complain about the heartburn and them losing, because I'd rather have this than nothing.
Yeah, no Maylocks this week, Joe?
What's that?
Better than nothing.
No Maylocks this week?
Well, guys, let me tell you what happened to me today. So I'm going to tell you right now, you guys are young. Okay, I wish this will never happen to you in your millions of years. Now,
is that something you should really say over a podcast?
I don't give a shit. I said we don't have sponsors now, so I can say shit. But anyway, so no, I had to get basically had a camera stuck up my you-know-what. So that is not fun. That's probably one of the most painful things on the earth. So, you know what? Anything that can make me happy, I'm good with right now. So Bruins playoff hockey. No, preparation H. Deke, wrong end.
Anyway, so feel better with that, but
no, you gotta guys. You gotta the doctor. You probably go to the dentist. The same thing. They try to talk to you. The doctor says to me, "You doing okay?" I'm like, "No, not really. This isn't natural. I'm not doing okay." But I digress.
No, I'm not doing okay. But thanks for asking, buddy.
You grab my Johnson. Thanks a lot. It's time for But anyway, things go out of that. They don't win. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah. I also am pretty upset with Brad Marchand because he needs to start playing better, or else the Bruins will not win this series. And
Marchand knows the Bruins for those last 2 games of the season. He needs to start stepping up.
Yep, and so does Bergeron. So does Bergeron. People got to stop giving Bergeron all the mighty praise he gets from the city, because sometimes he deserves criticism too. If Tom Brady can get criticism, so can Patrice Bergeron. Bruins fans got to realize.
Never got criticism. What are you talking about? A couple of years ago when people were stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, but Patrice Bergeron deserves criticism too. He hasn't been that good in this series either.
No. I mean, who?
And I'm sorry. Last night he was trash in the faceoff dot. He got beat a lot. And
he got beat a ton.
And that's not Bergeron.
Especially in that third period when the Bruins needed them to get the puck out the most.
Who's been good offensively for the Bruins? Because I think all 9 goals or 7 goals or 8 goals they scored have been by 8 different dudes.
It's been everybody that's not a core guy.
No, I understand that their offense hasn't been great, but I keep going back to what Jimmy said. You look at Erik Karlsson's the best player in the series, and Bobby Ryan's scoring. You have Mike Hoffman scoring. All their big guys are scoring.
Yeah, Karlsson is filthy. I mean, as much as I don't like his slashing skills, he is filthy rotten. God, he's so good.
I used to trash on Karlsson because he couldn't play defense in his own end, and he couldn't play on the penalty kill. But boy, has he gotten so much better.
Oh, he's unbelievable. He really is. I mean, like, I didn't condone what he did, but I can still tell, play when he's unbelievable. He may not be mentally, smart, but yeah, he's pretty unbelievable. So I just, what, Craig Anderson.
Also, before we make, go ahead, sorry.
Craig Anderson is not that good anymore, so they need to get more shots on him. I don't know, get in front of him and screen him. It just, like I said, it maddens me how they can't get in front of the net. They need to start doing that pretty quick.
I agree. I think it's a really good sign though. Also, that the Ottawa trap hasn't been that bad for the Bruins to overcome in the series.
One period.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, the Bruins have been, like you said, it's been a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, but they're right there in this series. And tomorrow should be a great game. So obviously they got Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, if it goes that far.
And then Wednesday, which is so dumb. Game 7 will be 3 days later. So ridiculous. Wait,
so it's Wednesday, so Friday, Sunday, and then Wednesday. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. If it goes to Game 7, it's gonna that does suck.
Dixie Chicks must be playing up in Ottawa again.
Yeah, no kidding.
What could it be, Shania Twain?
Well, here, I'm going to make my prediction, gentlemen. I'm going to go bold. I'm going to go like this game pretty much woke them up. The tears of Riley Nash has soothed their soul, and they will win in 6.
Win in 6, huh? You have them win in the next 4? I mean, the next 3?
Yep. I do. And even if they lose, you know what? They gave me pleasure. Unlike what I received today at the doctor's.
I'm not going to go with bold as you. I think the Bruins will win tomorrow and even the series and go back to Ottawa 2-2. I think this is going 7. I'm going to say the Bruins squeak it out in 7. Kind of similar to Game 1 where they scored late. I think it's going to be something along the lines like that. Bruins in 7.
Jason says they win.
You guys are going to hate me then.
I hate you, Jason.
Good. Because I'm going to go Ottawa in 6.
You know what? Why don't you just quit? Get off this show. I'm done.
It's part of my job.
Why don't you go climb another mountain, Jason? Go climb another mountain.
Oh, trust me, I have plans. Don't go there. But
Joe, what happened to Captain Optimism over there?
It's not about optimism. It's about being realistic. And, it's going to all come down to whether or not, as a team, the Bruins can get healthier.
You know what? I don't know you anymore, Jason. I think Mike and I are breaking up with you. I don't think it's us. It's you.
Well, fine, I'll go find another girl hang out.
I don't think Ottawa is as good as people think. Like the Bruins have played so bad for periods during all 3 of these games and have been in every game. That's why I don't think that if the Bruins can just play a full game for once, play a full game, they'll win. They'll win.
They have not played a full game yet.
I mean,
they played 2 of their worst periods.
Like you said, Joe, I'm happy we're talking about playoff hockey. Jason, happy we're talking about playoff hockey because when we started the show, we weren't talking about playoff hockey because the Bruins choked so much.
I remember those days.
Remember those days of silliness?
Those days in which I could predict the Bruins losing and end up correct twice in a row.
Before you found the 44-year-old dude that has erectile issues. I'm kidding. That's not the reason.
All right, so I think that's a good time to sign off now, and you can follow myself on Twitter. I'm at Mike22. Jason's at JasonBuckley91. Joe is at Big Bad Bruins 88. You can also follow our personal account at Bruins_beat. We'll be back next week to talk about hopefully a Game 7 or a Bruins victory in 6, as Joe predicted. But we'll talk to you. Yeah, thank you for Jimmy Murphy for coming on. We hope to have Jimmy on soon. And,
Mike's distracted. Mike's distracted.
Mike's new computer is just so dazzling.
What the hell am I distracted about?
Mike, what computer did you get before we leave?
Why are you saying I'm distracted?
Because your braids on the erectile comment from Joe, we aren't even we've totally forgotten my part in the show too to finish it off.
I've been talking about my crotch for 20 minutes.
I just think we need to get off this show before Joe starts talking about stuff that we don't want to know about.
TMI. Hey, this episode,
Joe. It's okay.
By TMI.
All right, so what is it? You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher, right, Jason?
You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher at Boston Bruins Beat Podcast. Don't forget, leave us a rate and subscribe on iTunes. We did the show tonight, so it'll probably be up tomorrow morning, which is when I plan on releasing it when I wake up tomorrow. Other than that, back to you, Mike.
All right, awesome. We'll be back next week, hopefully talking about Bruins moving on to the second round. Go Bruins.
Go Bruins.
Okay.